Right now, Edzo, we would be in Louisville getting ready a couple of days before the Derby, the Kentucky Oaks. This would be the day for the locals, Derby in Kentucky. It is strange when you start looking at May here on the calendar starting tomorrow and the fact that we're not in Louisville right now.
Yeah, Mike, good to be with you, pal. Yeah, it is hard to believe, but again, this is our new normal, and hopefully everybody is staying safe and adhering to all the warnings out there, and hopefully we'll get on the right side of this sooner or later. But you're right. I mean, usually we'd be there. We would be knee deep in a lot of things in Louisville on the TV side, getting ready for all of our shows, but can't wait to get there, hopefully in the first Saturday in September. And as we've talked before, Mike, not only on the air but off, this really opens up the door when you talk about the possibilities of horses maturing here over the course of the next couple of weeks and the next couple of months. Now, they do have to be able to accumulate points to get into the Kentucky Derby, but you know, we didn't know a lot about Justify until what he did in his 3-year-old campaign, and 106 or 109 days later, he of course won the Triple Crown. So a lot of storylines moving forward, but great news out of Churchill in Louisville to hear that they're allowing horses to get on the track and start training, and hopefully get some live racing there maybe in the next 4 weeks or so.
Yeah, horses shipping in there. There is live racing going on. It's actually a pretty big live race or two this weekend. I'll ask you about that in a little bit. Edzo, for the folks who don't follow horse racing except for maybe the Triple Crown races and the Breeders' Cup, can you expand on that element of the calendar for the more casual fan? How from May to September, given when a horse was born, a 3-year-old might be at a very different maturity level now that we're running the Derby the first Saturday in September this year.
Right. I think in layman's terms, Mike, as you know, all horses celebrate their birthday on January 1st, but they may have been born, you know, a month or 2 or 3 months later in that year. So the maturity aspect of it, of when you do get to the first Saturday in May, you know, those horses that are born in January may be bigger in stature and being able to just kind of come together a little quicker. But now what happens is with the Derby being pushed back and all these major races being pushed back, it's just like an athlete, right? Or a freshman in college or a rookie in the National Hockey League. They start getting a little bit more experience. They start growing a little bit. They start understanding who and what they are. And, you know, a horse in February probably isn't going to be the same horse come October, you know, around the Breeders' Cup time, or even in November. And, you know, look, perfect example. I mean, Bob Baffert, who is, you know, arguably the greatest horse trainer that we've ever seen, and obviously over the course of the llast couple of years training Justify and American Pharoah, 2 Triple Crown winners in 4 years, I believe. You know, he had a horse by the name of Arrogate, who I think were better. I thought Arrogate was a better horse than both of those horses, but just Arrogate couldn't get to the track and really get to do what he was able to do until he was a little bit older in his 3-year-old campaign and then into his 4-year-old campaign. So it's all about maturation. So it is unique. It's going to be different. So I think it certainly opens up the door to a lot of horses that maybe are just getting on the track, so to speak, or horses that are just finding their way and all of a sudden blossom in the first Saturday in September.
You saw the first Saturday in May of 2015, the images of American Pharoah winning the first of what would be all 3 legs of the Triple Crown. So to keep you entertained on Derby Saturday, and I know some folks are going to have their Derby parties, even though there's no Derby, we're going to have 3 hours for you on NBC at 3 Eastern Time, first Saturday in May, American Pharoah's run to the Triple Crown. And Bob Baffert is going to join us, Mike Smith, the Hall of Fame jockey, Randy Moss, Jerry Bailey going to join us as well. So we'll have a lot of horse racing to celebrate what is normally the biggest horse racing day in America. In addition to that, Edzo, we're going to have the Triple Crown Showdown, which will be a virtual race using all 13 horses that have won the Triple Crown. And if there's horse racing, the question is there betting? Well, Edzo's with me, so of course there's betting. And there are odds. Mike Battaglia, who has for a long time been the morning line odds man at Churchill Downs, going back to 1974, set up these odds. So, Edzo, if there's odds and there's betting, that means there's going to be a chance for you to make a pick. So let's do it here.
Well, look, if I could get Secretariat at 7-2, Mike, you know what? I think I'd be able to pay off my wife's credit card bills for the next 2 years if I can get those type of odds. I mean, look, what a great idea, and what a way to celebrate. You know, the 13 Triple Crown winners that we have. And it's interesting, Mike, obviously we all have a lot of free time and staying at home and sheltering in place, but just looking at the running styles of these horses, a lot of these Triple Crown winners were running very close to the lead, like front running type of horses. And I think it'd be really interesting tomorrow. But look, Secretariat, I mean, how do you not go there? But I will give everybody a long shot to keep an eye on. And I think actually our very own Jerry Bailey, the Hall of Famer, rode in this era back in 1946, I believe. How about the Assault at 20-1 can come from off of the pace? So I'm going to look for maybe 3-2 exacta, and maybe I'll tap into Jerry Bailey a little later in the day to find out if Assault can certainly come off the pace and pick up the pieces and maybe get a little slice of this virtual race on NBC on Saturday, Mike.
That's enough. That's enough. You cannot pick on Bailey when he's not here. Jerry's on the show tomorrow, so he's going to get the last word on you. So
I know he will. He always does.
Edzo, we do have actual racing because there is some racing going on at tracks, and the Arkansas Derby has such a big field. They've split it into 2 different races. Ed, there are some really good horses who we might have seen in the Derby, or we might see in September in the Derby, who are going to be racing on NBCSN on Saturday evening.
Yeah, well, Bob Baffert, of course, loaded in Southern California, and Bob has Charlatan, who's going to run in Division I coming out of Position 1, and then he has in Division 2 as a horse, Nadal, that is very talented. That second division, Mike, is very, very difficult. I mean, it is very deep. You can make a case probably for 4 or 5 horses in that race. King Guillermo is another horse in there, owned by former Major League Baseball player Victor Martinez, a horse that I like in that race, trained by the great Todd Pletcher, ridden by Javier Castellano. Farmington Road, I think, is wearing saddlecloth number 10 in that race 13 on Saturday. But it's all about Bob Baffert. If you could beat Bob Baffert, you certainly think you have a chance of getting to the first Saturday in May. But Division 1, it's all Bob Baffert with the 1. And then in Division 2, Mike, I think it's absolutely wide open.
All right, so we're going to have that on NBCSN. That'll be early Saturday evening, right after our Derby show. You can watch that. And there are, as I said, a few tracks where racing has been going on, and 2 different opportunities to watch the Arkansas Derby back-to-back coming for you on Saturday. Edzo, I'll ask you to take off your handicapping hat and put on your hockey bucket here for a minute. Let's get everyone updated on where we are with the NHL. The committee that they have looking at return to play met yesterday. No advancement to phase 2, but conversation, and they did put in a press release, maybe mid to late May, to start small groups of work at hockey facilities if the restrictions are lifted there. What are you hearing from the hockey world about how close we might be getting back on the ice here?
Well, first off, I think the commissioner, Mr. Bettman, and his first assistant, Bill Daly, have done an amazing job of keeping everybody updated. And look, they're taking the information from the medical people, as all the professional leagues are, Mike, as you know. And look, I think it's a real positive sign. Look, first and foremost, we got to make sure that we are in a great place, a healthy place, be on the right side of everything that we are all battling as a society. But the interesting thing too, Mike, is that we meaning the NHL, we have a lot of players that have gone back to Europe. And, you're going to have to get those players back here. And again, I'm not sure what's going on with flights and being able to land in the States and Canada and all that kind of stuff. So, those are all things, those are all the logistics I'm sure that the league is working on. But look, it looks like we're trending in a really good direction, and hopefully getting closer to some sort of normalcy. What that new normalcy would be, nobody knows. But, look, Mike, I really believe, regardless of what starts taking place in these phases, I would imagine that being a former player and having coached and knowing the league now, is that talking to a lot of people, you're probably going to need at least 2 full weeks of some sort of a training camp before you would actually get back to playing regular season games or whatever the league decides to do. So it's exciting. I think you can see the energy and the smile on my face, knowing that, maybe we're getting a little bit closer, but, we'll just take it day to day and hopefully get there sooner than later.
And just the reality of the opportunity to even get short side little groups working together in the facilities at the end of the month might give some folks the indication that maybe hockey can get back on the ice and play a Stanley Cup into July or August with the playoffs. And Edzo, and let me leave you with this. Is there a style of play that might be conducive to coming back cohesively quicker? Because when we jump back in, if we jump back in, it's going to be some of the most important games, race to the playoffs or these playoff series. Any style of play that might fit this better?
Wow, it's a great question, Mike. And I think, I think it'll be absolutely wide open. What teams had done prior to the pause of the NHL season, as you know, being a big hockey guy, and it really not going to matter. I just think it's the team that's going to be able to, the teams that are going to be able to come together. And, you know, a lot of people think that maybe younger teams or quick skating teams will have more of advantage, but, you know, it's wide open. I really don't know how to answer that. But the one thing that I do know, though, is that if that does happen, we're all going to be in a much better place if we can see the National Hockey League back in its rightful place.
Amen. He's the man who likes a good baguette for his lunch. Eddie Olczyk joining
a little
us here
dusty
on Lunch
one,
Talk
though.
Live.
A little
Talk
dusty
ponies
one, Mike.
And pucks.
Dusty one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, Edzo. I'll talk to you soon,
pal.
pal.
Love you. See you, man. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.